The Boeing 737 MAX is a variation of the maturing Boeing 737 line of restricted-body, twin-motor traveler aircrafts initially created in the late 1960s. From that point forward, the 737 has been routinely refreshed and moved up to fit in the advanced universe of aeronautics. In any case, it could be contended that the 737 MAX made this a stride too far. Rushed into improvement and creation, the 737 MAX required more noteworthy effectiveness to keep its fuel costs as low as could be expected under the circumstances. To do this, it required bigger motors that couldn't be generally mounted on its wings. As a workaround, the bigger motors were mounted further forward than ordinary, presenting various contrasts in the manner in which it flies. To maintain a strategic distance from the expanded expense of pilot retraining for these new qualities, Boeing rather actualized a framework known as MCAS to relieve these distinctions via naturally pushing the nose of the airplane down when over-the-top approach is distinguished. It was this product acting mistakenly that prompted the accident of two 737 MAX flights months separated, Lion Air Flight 610 in October 2018 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 March 2019, guaranteeing a consolidated aggregate of 346 lives as the airplane were constrained into the ground by the MCAS framework. Since these two crashes, the 737 MAX has been grounded worldwide and isn't permitted to fly travelers because of well-being concerns. Beginning on May 5, 2000, a huge number of individuals around the globe got an email with the subject ILOVEYOU. The email commonly contained a little sentence like "Please read the joined love letter from me" and would have a record appended. The document was classified love letter for you.text.vbs, and a huge number of individuals opened it to straighten something up, maybe scanning for adoration, causing the content contained inside it to activate. The concealed content would damagingly overwrite arbitrary records on the PC and consequently send a duplicate of itself to each and every location in Microsoft Outlook, making it spread very rapidly. ILOVEYOU started in the Philippines and spread to Hong Kong, Europe, lastly the US. It is evaluated that the malware caused roughly $8 billion in harms worldwide and cost around $15 billion to expel from PC frameworks. 10% of all Internet-associated PCs on the planet were influenced, and 50 million diseases were accounted for in only a range of 10 days. Phantom is comparative in nature to Meltdown. It was additionally revealed in 2018, however it's significantly increasingly far-reaching. While Meltdown is just successful against Intel CPUs generally, Spectre influences for all intents and purposes each and every PC framework starting at 2019. It has been accounted for that a few variations of Spectre can't be moderated to any sensible degree by programming changes whatsoever and will require equipment changes which are at present being implemented. Spectre works by fooling a program into getting to guiltless appearing memory, however permitting an aggressor to peruse this information and conceivably recover delicate data without client approval. As of this composition, just a limited quantity of CPUs are insusceptible to this adventure, most quite the as of late discharged AMD Zen 2 processors and Intel Ice Lake processors. Programming patches, as with Meltdown, are material, however again a quaint execution drops similar with Meltdown, notwithstanding causing abrupt, sudden reboots as patches are applied. It is impossible that Spectre will vanish totally for quite a while, until equipment alleviations are utilized inside each and every PC framework, and it is likely it is influencing you at the present time. Emergency is a weakness present in all Intel CPUs discharged among 1995 and October 2018, just as some ARM processors. Given that by far most of all PCs run Intel CPUs, security investigators portray the powerlessness as disastrous and at first didn't accept the reports of the defenselessness to be valid, because of how serious they were. Meltdown abuses the manner in which present-day CPUs work and permits forms running on a PC to see all data at present being utilized by the CPU by maintaining a strategic distance from safety efforts intended to stop this. The ramifications of this are horrendous. Somebody utilizing Meltdown to assault a PC could see passwords, delicate money-related data, pictures, and basically anything they needed without clients' information, all while staying away from antivirus software. Intel has discharged crisis security patches to fix this endeavor, as has Microsoft. However, this has apparently included some significant downfalls of execution from 5% to an incredible 30%. Given how across the board this endeavor is, it is without a doubt ruinous. The Patriot rocket framework is a United States-created surface-to-air rocket framework equipped for killing both airplane and ballistic rockets, should they be recognized and affirmed as adversary targets. Today is broadly utilized by both the United States and a few of its partners, including Germany. It was additionally broadly utilized in the Gulf War of 1991 to ensure American troopers an airplane, which is the place it flopped because of a known programming error. A Patriot rocket framework introduced in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, had been operational for 100 hours, making its inside clock float by 0.34 seconds. The Israelis had distinguished this issue 14 days sooner and prompted the US to intermittently reboot the framework's PCs. This was not led. On February 25, 1991, a Scud ballistic rocket propelled by Iraq hit the US Army sleeping enclosure in Dhahran, slaughtering 28 American fighters. The Patriot rocket framework had initiated and distinguished the rocket, anticipating where to search for it next because of the floating inward clock. The framework glanced in an inappropriate spot and found no rocket, so it shut down and didn't endeavor a block, which could have spared numerous lives. In May 2017, an overall cyber attack was propelled that tainted Windows-based PCs with ransomware. Ransomware is a type of noxious programming that scrambles client information, making it unusable, and requests an installment to decode it and give it back to the user. WannaCry most essentially influenced more seasoned Windows frameworks like Windows XP and spread to more than 200,000 PCs in 150 countries. The Emancipate requested somewhere in the range of $300 and $600 per PC. Information was returned securely to the individuals who paid the payoff. The United Kingdom's National Health Service was particularly severely influenced, and a huge number of PCs controlling MRI scanners, theater gear, and more were assaulted, causing some non-emergency cases to be dismissed while the assault was contained. Around the world, the expense is evaluated at up to a gigantic $4 billion, and the West has set the fault unequivocally on North Korea's shoulders. Stuxnet is the name given to a bit of malware found in 2010 and thought to have been in joint advancement by the Americans and the Israelis as a cyber weapon since 2005. Focusing on true mechanical frameworks, Stuxnet is by and large viewed as the principal known bit of malware expected to cause genuine world, unmistakable damage. Stuxnet seems to have for the most part been utilized against Iran's atomic program, penetrating the atomic office at Natanz and tainting its PC frameworks, controlling hardware in a dangerous way. It seems to have been snuck in by means of a straightforward, effectively discernible USB drive, for goodness sake. Between November 2009 and late January 2010, it is assessed that this malware caused 1,000 atomic rotators, 10% of the office's complete number, to brutally destroy themselves by compelling changes in rotor speed. Stuxnet constrained the axis to initially speed up and afterward decline in a profoundly viable endeavor to cause insecurity. It is evaluated that this pulverization brought about a 30% decline in atomic advancement proficiency for Iran, an immense effect that without a doubt upset Iranian atomic endeavors. Knight Capital was an American-based monetary administrations firm purchasing and sharing supplies of enormous incentive in huge amounts on the worldwide financial exchange. It was the predominant dealer in the United States, with a portion of around 17% on NASDAQ. This all came smashing down at basically a second to think on August 1, 2012. That morning, when the Securities Exchange opened, the robotized PC frameworks based at Knight Capital started quickly purchasing and selling a great many offers conveyed among several stocks for an aggregate of 45 minutes, before the frameworks were disengaged and halted. Knight Capital had to sell these offers back at low costs, which brought about an all-out total deficit of over $440 million, or generally $10 million for each minute. New exchanging programming had been introduced inappropriately on one of the PCs by an expert, which caused the flaw and destabilized the whole financial exchange for a brief period. Following this catastrophe, Knight capital must be gained by another budgetary firm, GetCo, as the organization just came up short on target to proceed and must be protected by different firms. Ariane 5 is a class of substantial lift space rocket used in Europe. Mutually made by 20 European countries including Belgium, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, it has been persistently refined and changed to be increasingly effective, dependable, and incredible, is still being used today. Following its underlying turn of events, the first completely finished Ariane 5 rocket arranged on the launch pad and arranged for its Lady trip on June 4, 1996. The rocket started up the motors on its center stage and its massive promoters and took to the skies, quickening upward and starting to turn at a lot more noteworthy rate than its antecedent, the Ariane 4, true to form. Tragically, this was actually why the rocket failed. The inward PCs and programming liable for observing pace and direction on board the Ariane 5 were reused from the Ariane 4, however the more prominent speed of the new rocket made the PCs experience an equipment special case while changing over a 64-piece coasting guide number toward a 16-piece whole number. Basically, the more remarkable rocket surpassed the restrictions of the more established frameworks in only 37 seconds, making the put-away numbers flip from 32,768 to 32,768, confounding the rocket and starting an unexpected rotate toward the ground that brought about a calamitous separation and airborne blast, devastating both the rocket and its payload. The Mars Climate Orbiter was a small space probe launched on December 11, 1998, by NASA to enter Martian orbit and both study the atmosphere of the red planet and provide valuable insight into its climate and any surface changes that might occur. The launch went as planned, and the probe traveled toward Mars with seemingly no issues, but unknown to the mission control team on Earth, the spacecraft was being put on a trajectory that would lead to the failure of the mission. The orbiter was being navigated by various teams of people, some who used metric units, and others who used imperial units. Due to this simple conversion error and the misconfiguration of the computer systems on the part of Lockheed, a course correction sent the Mars Climate Orbiter far too close to the planet, and it was likely violently burned up and destroyed in the atmosphere. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.